What's up guys, this is Ultimate iDevice Vids, and today in this video we're going to be doing a battery drain test between the iPhone 13, the iPhone 12, and the iPhone 11. So as of recording this video, Apple's latest 3 generations of standard phone offerings. And a few things before we get started: True Tone, Night Shift, and Auto Brightness are disabled on all 3 of these devices. Also, the battery health for all 3 of these devices are quite high, as you can see, and they're all running the latest iOS version as of recording this video, which is 15.0. And the brightness on all 3 of these devices is set as close to the same as I could get. It's particularly difficult to match the brightness of an OLED display to an LCD display using the tools that I use, but rest assured, when looking at the OLED display of the iPhone 13 and iPhone 12 compared to the LCD display of the iPhone 11, you wouldn't be able to perceive any difference in brightness. And also, the volume is turned down on all 3 of them. And alright, so let's begin by turning off the power source that these 3 devices are connected to, and we'll get rid of the power cables. And we're going to kick things off with 1 hour of YouTube video streaming. So we're going to load up the very same YouTube video on all 3 of these devices, and we're going to make sure it's full screen on all of them and that it's set to 1080p quality on all of them. And we'll just let it stream for an hour. And after a full hour of YouTube video streaming, checking in, the iPhone 11 is at 96%, the 12 is at 98%, and the 13 is at 99%. So all performing very similarly, not losing very much percentage, but as you're seeing, the newer the device is, it's doing a little bit better than the previous generation. Next up, we're going to head on over to Instagram for 1 hour of looking at stories and posts. For the first 10 minutes, we're going to be looking at stories, and for the remainder of the hour, we're just going to be scrolling through posts. And as I often do, I just want to take a moment to say that there's a variety of factors that contribute to how your battery life is going to be. Of course, what you do on your device, the age of the battery in your device, and just a whole host of other factors. And of course, I always do my best to control as many variables as I can to get the most accurate results, but there's always going to be minor things that maybe throw it off a little bit from device to device. So rather than interpreting these tests as hyper-detailed percent point by percent point analysis, you should interpret these videos as just gauging overall battery performance. And it's also worth mentioning that as of recording this video, the iPhone 13 is a brand new device, so some App Store applications may need to be updated to be optimized fully for the new iPhone. So things may very well get better as time goes on for the new iPhone 13. And checking in after a full hour of Instagram, the iPhone 11 is at 87%, the 12 is at 89%, and the 13 is at 92%. So all devices are performing very well at this point, with once again just that same little advantage with each newer generation. So next up, we're going to head on over to Minecraft for 1 hour of gameplay. And checking in, the iPhone 11 is at 58%, the 12 is at 67%, and the 13 is at 66%. So interestingly enough, the iPhone 12 is showing as 1% point ahead of the iPhone 13. But all 3 devices are still performing quite well and pretty similarly to one another overall. So next, let's head on over to Safari for an hour of web browsing. So we're going to be loading new web pages and scrolling through web pages for an hour. For the first 30 minutes, we're going to be doing this on apple.com, and for the second 30 minutes, we're going to be doing this on theverge.com. And checking in after an hour, as you can see, the iPhone 11 is at 48%, and the iPhone 12 and 13 are at 58%. So between the iPhone 11 and both the 12 and 13, a 10% point difference. So next up, we're going to head on over to Subway Surfers for 30 minutes. So we're just going to play the game continuously for 30 minutes on all 3 of them. And checking in after 30 minutes of Subway Surfers, the iPhone 11 is at 41%, the 12 is at 52%, and the 13 is at 54%. So the 13 pulled a little bit ahead of the 12, and overall the same trend is continuing, with the 12 and 13 being around 10% points ahead of the 11. Next, we're going to head on over to Temple Run for 10 minutes of playing the game, with ads appearing in between each round as well. And checking in after Temple Run, the iPhone 11 is at 38%, the 12 is at 50%, and the 13 is at 52%. So once again, the same trend is continuing. So next up is PUBG. We're going to head on over to the application, and we're going to play PUBG for 1 hour. And checking in after a full hour of PUBG, the iPhone 11 is at 18%, the 12 is at 32%, and the 13 is at 39%. And alright, so with the first round of the battery test complete, we're going to head back to YouTube for another hour of streaming that very same video at, once again, 1080p quality and full screen. And after the second hour of YouTube video streaming, the iPhone 11 is at 7%, the iPhone 12 is at 25%, and the iPhone 13 is at 33%. So while the 11 is getting pretty low, the 12 and 13 are still remaining neck and neck, with the 13 having the lead. So we'll head on over to Instagram for our second hour of looking at stories and posts. Once again, for the first 10 minutes, we're going to be looking at stories, and for the remainder of the hour, we'll be scrolling through posts. And 7 hours and 28 minutes into this test, the iPhone 11 dies. And checking in on the 12 and 13 after a full hour of Instagram, as you can see, the iPhone 12 is at 15% and the 13 is at 25%. So an exact 10% point advantage on the iPhone 13. So we'll head on back to Minecraft for our second hour of gameplay. And 8 hours and 23 minutes into the test, the iPhone 12 dies. And just under 20 minutes later, the iPhone 13 finally dies at 8 hours and 42 minutes into the test. So there you guys have it for the battery drain test. And I definitely say all three of these performed very well in this test. And lastly, I want to run a 12-hour standby test. So this tests how well these devices are able to hold a charge when asleep. And once again, as I said earlier, this test also largely depends on a variety of factors. Of course, any processes that you have running in the background, notifications you're getting on your device, cell signal strength, and a whole host of other factors. In this example, this is just a very controlled test with no SIM cards in any of these phones. They're all connected to the same Wi-Fi network, and they all have the very same notification settings configured, as you could see. So with all devices charged back up to 100%, we'll go ahead and turn off the power source that these devices are connected to, and we'll get rid of the cables once again, and we'll just put all three devices to sleep, and we'll start a stopwatch and check back in after 12 hours. And checking in after a full 12 hours of standby, the iPhone 11 is at 98%, the 12 is at 99%, and the 13 is at 100%. But alright guys, that just about wraps it up for this video. As you see throughout this test, all devices have performed quite well. As always, if you guys use any of these devices, let me know down below in the comment section how the performance has been for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.